I never expected to wake up in the royal city of Zalrith, a planet 5 systems away from Earth, covered in armor that felt alive beneath my skin. Only hours earlier, I had been trapped in the ruins of a research station orbiting a dying star. My mission had been simple: collect data, avoid the anomalies, and return. But everything went wrong when the station's energy core overloaded, tearing a rift through space itself. The next thing I knew, I was falling through a liquid sky, streaked with violet lightning, and landed, miraculously, on the planet's surface. Zalrith was more beautiful than any world I had ever imagined. Towering crystal spires rose above a sea of luminescent forests, and creatures that shimmered in translucent hues moved like living statues. Yet, amid the beauty, there was a pervasive tension, a sense that the world was holding its breath. It was the aliens who found me first. They were elegant and terrifying, with elongated limbs, skin that shifted colors according to emotion, and eyes that glowed like molten silver. Despite their imposing appearance, they carried me with a reverence I didn't understand. Their leader, a woman of imposing stature with eyes that radiated authority, gazed at me as if I were both a curiosity and a relic of fate. "You are human," she said, her voice resonating with a melody I couldn't place. "You have survived the rift. That alone marks you as extraordinary." I wanted to tell her it was luck. Pure, terrifying luck. But the words caught in my throat as they led me into the city, and then, somehow, into the palace. The royal hall of Zalrith was breathtaking. The floors were polished obsidian that reflected the soaring crystal arches above. Light poured from a massive dome, refracted into countless colors by the intricate latticework. And there, in the center of the hall, stood the princess, tall, regal, with eyes that shimmered like twin galaxies. She regarded me with a mixture of shock and recognition, the kind of recognition that made my heart hammer. Then, suddenly, she pointed at me, her voice cutting through the hall like lightning. "Mother, that's my savior." I froze. Mother? Savior? The words echoed in my mind as the hall went silent. Every alien present turned to me, their expressions a blend of awe and curiosity. The princess, whose name I would soon learn was Lyra, approached cautiously, her steps light yet deliberate. "You don't understand," she said, her voice softening. "Through you I live. Through you, hope has returned." I had no idea what she meant, but Lyra's conviction was undeniable, and it stirred something in me I had never felt before, a profound sense of responsibility. 2 days earlier, far across Zalrith, the world had been on the brink of collapse. A mysterious plague, one that seemed to devour not just the body but the very essence of life, had spread through the alien population. Entire regions of the planet had been quarantined, with only a few able to resist the infection. Lyra, the princess, had been among the few, but she had fallen into a coma after an assassination attempt orchestrated by a rival faction seeking to exploit the chaos. It was then that my presence became significant. The aliens' advanced technology had detected a unique genetic marker in humans, an anomaly capable of producing antibodies effective against the Zalrith plague. Essentially, I carried the potential cure in my own DNA. I hadn't known any of this when I first arrived. I only realized the enormity of my role when Lyra's mother, the queen, approached me in the palace garden, her regal form cloaked in shifting silver. "You are not just a visitor," she said, her voice steady, yet tinged with fear. "You are our salvation. Our people will either endure because of you or perish." It was a responsibility that weighed heavily on me, yet I couldn't ignore the truth in her words. I had survived the rift. I had been chosen not by chance, but by fate. Over the following weeks, I worked alongside Zalritha's scientists, deciphering the genetic patterns and creating a serum that could neutralize the plague. I learned their language, their customs, even their subtle expressions of emotion through color changes. Lyra, though still unconscious for the first few days, would occasionally twitch, respond to sounds, or shift her skin in flashes of anticipation. Every time she did, my heart leapt with hope. One evening, as I sat in the palace lab, exhausted from hours of work, Lyra's eyes suddenly opened. The room glowed with the soft light of crystallized lamps, and she looked directly at me. Her voice was weak, but clear. You've saved me." Tears welled in her eyes, and I realized then that I had done more than create a cure. I had bridged a world apart from my own, forming a bond with a life that transcended species, distance, and even understanding. The royal hall would be the stage for the moment of acknowledgement. It was the day Lyra would step before her people, the first public appearance since her recovery. I had been invited, not as a guest, but as the one responsible for her survival. As I entered the hall, nerves twisted in my stomach. Hundreds of Zalrithians watched, their bodies shimmering in anticipation. The queen sat upon her throne, poised, her gaze steady yet curious. Lyra stepped forward, her hand outstretched. "Mother," she said, her eyes locking onto me, "this is the one who saved me. This human, he is my savior." The hall erupted in gasps and whispers. Some cheered, some bowed, but all eyes were on me. I felt exposed, like a candle flame before a storm. Lyra continued, "Not only did he heal my body, but he restored hope to our people. I choose him, not merely as a savior, but as a part of our family, as my guardian, my guide, my companion." I was speechless. My life had been ordinary, mundane even. I had never imagined being recognized as a hero by a civilization light years from Earth. And yet, here I was, standing at the center of a world I barely understood, but one that now depended on me in ways I could scarcely comprehend. The queen rose, her form towering above the hall, but her expression softened. "Let it be known throughout Zalrith, the human who saved our princess shall be honored. Not merely as a healer, but as a guardian of our future." Lyra took my hand, and a surge of warmth passed between us. I didn't know what this would mean for the future, how I would fit into a world so alien, so different, but I knew one thing. I would not abandon her. Not now, not ever. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. I trained with the Royal Guard, learning to navigate the city and its customs. I studied Zalritha's history and politics, understanding the fragile balance of power that had nearly destroyed the planet. And all the while, Lyra and I forged a bond deeper than friendship, one built on trust, gratitude, and the unspoken recognition that we had changed each other forever. One evening, as we walked through the crystal gardens, Lyra stopped and turned to me. "Do you realize what you've done?" she asked, her eyes reflecting the myriad colors of the flora. "I've healed you," I said. "You've healed all of us," she corrected gently. "Not just our bodies, but our spirits. You reminded us that even in darkness, hope can survive. That even across galaxies, compassion is universal." I felt a lump in my throat. Words could not convey the enormity of what had happened. The lives saved, the alliances formed, the future rewritten. And yet, amidst all the grandeur and the awe-inspiring beauty of Zalrith, one simple truth remained: a human, in the vast expanse of the universe, had made a difference. The final ceremony came at the apex of the twin moons' alignment, a celestial event considered sacred by the Zalrithians. The royal hall was filled to capacity, every citizen present, all eyes on the princess and her savior. Lyra stepped forward, her voice ringing with authority and warmth. Today, we honor not only the survival of our people, but the courage that made it possible. A human, one from a distant world, stood with us when hope seemed lost. Let his name be remembered not merely as a stranger, but as a guardian, a companion, and the one who reminds us that we are never truly alone. The crowd erupted into joyous celebration. Lyra turned to me, her eyes shining with an intensity one could not ignore. She smiled, a gesture filled with both mischief and affection, and whispered, "You are no longer just my savior. You are part of my world." In that moment, I realized that our lives, had become entwined across galaxies. And though I had entered Zalrith as an outsider, I now left a mark that would endure for generations. As the twin moons bathed the hall in silver light, Lyra leaned close. "Mother," she said softly, though the word no longer felt distant, "this is the beginning. Together, we will face the future." And for the first time in a long while, I believed that perhaps, just perhaps, a human could belong among the stars.